Boom, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. As you know, yesterday was the Kids' Day for the Iowa Hawkeyes. We are a day removed. I made a video yesterday just going over the stat pack. I really did not have access to a lot of highlights. I did comment a little bit on the highlights that I saw, but not too much. And we dove into that a little bit, but we really just went over the stat pack, as they call it. I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, it's really hard to make any sweeping generalizations when it comes to just one day of practice with guys that are out, things like that. But the things that I think you can take away from it is, number one, how do guys look physically? Are they playing fast? Do they look bigger, faster, stronger? Where are they at in the rotation? I think you can take notice of that. With the quarterback, I think you can take notice of where he was placing the ball for the day, his completion percentage, things like that. Those are the general takeaways that you can come away with on a Kids' Day. Again, we don't have access to the day in, day out grind that the coaches have. So it is dangerous to make sweeping generalizations when it comes to this. But we will, after a day removed, we will be diving in just a little bit more into the Kids' Day. I'm going to be going over who I thought did really, really well. Guys that maybe were in contention for being freshman contributors that I think are locks to be contributors, freshmen and sophomores. When it comes to that, guys who maybe were under the radar, who I think are locks to receive some snaps this year. And without further ado, let's get into this. So first things first, let's start with the offense. Let's take this in order here. I do want to say yesterday, I don't think I made any generalizations about Spencer Petras. The only thing that I said with regards to Spencer was when I look and watch his game, because we've seen moments from him. And to be honest, I have probably been the biggest advocate, not advocate's probably too strong a word, but probably the most fair guy when it comes to Spencer Petras. I remember in the 6-2 year, as well as last year, when people were coming at Spencer so hard, I would always say, at the end of the day, the Hawkeyes are winning. And I would also say, I would also ask the same questions, which would be, and I will say that again this year, if it shakes out this way, which is, if the guy is not making it work at quarterback, is there somebody behind him that will be better? Not the same, but better. That's question number one. And then question number two, always to ask when it comes to the quarterback position, is it worth it to change the quarterback position when your team is winning? And last year and the year before that, when it came to Spencer Petras, most of the time my answer was no to both of those questions. They did not have a better option or 100% a better option behind him. And secondly, the team was winning, and I did not think, as a former Division I athlete, I know how important it is to be cohesive and to be on a roll. Winning is contagious, and just the smallest change can change. It can totally screw it up. So my answer was always no. It is not worth it to change the quarterback position. Now, as the season went on, obviously that changed. But point is, I have always been a pretty, not advocate, but a fair critiquer of Spencer Petras and the Iowa Hawkeye offense. Now, with yesterday, like I said, I don't think I said anything super general about him. All I said was that his completion percentage was not what I was expecting or what even I had thought based off of the highlights that we had seen that were available. He went 5 for 9 for 70 yards, as you guys can see here. And even still now, regardless of how he looked yesterday, that's still not the best stat line in the world. Now, granted, the Hawkeyes decided to give a majority of the snaps and the passes to Padilla and Labus. And for those of you who are hoping that Spencer Petras will not be the starting quarterback, you are sadly mistaken. He is definitely going to be the starting quarterback week 1. And I think that the Iowa coaching staff last year only went to Padilla out of need rather than truly wanting to go to Padilla as opposed to Petras. The Iowa coaching staff wants to make it work with Petras. For me personally, I think Joey Labus is probably the best option with the highest ceiling, but knowing the Iowa coaching staff, that ain't going to happen. That's probably not going to happen unless Labus was tearing it up so much in practice that it was undeniable whether he should be on the field or not. So Petras will be day 1 starter. I'm personally okay with that. I don't think Padilla has shown himself to be the, head and away better than Petras. I think Padilla went in there and did some good things, but he also did some bad things and left a lot to be desired. Petras, he has a big arm. He's 6'5", and I am going to hold judgment. I think he can get it done. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I think he can get it done, and I am going to hold back judgment until we actually have some real football games with Spencer Petras. I want to give him a shot, and so I'm going to give him a shot. Again, yesterday, all I said was that 5 for 9 was not that best. With that being said, he was placing the ball relatively well on the field. It is obvious that he does command the offense probably better than any other quarterback on the roster. He does physically look better, and that's a good sign. I don't love the 5 for 9, but it's also not the worst thing in the world either. So that's what I'll say about Petras. He put the ball in some good places yesterday. Was it a far and away, just incredible day for Petras? No, but again, most of the snaps went to Padilla and Labus. All right, moving on. I think I gave enough of conversation when it comes to Petras. Padilla and Labus, as I've said, I think he should be the guy that the Hawkeye coaching staff puts all their energy into. I think he has the highest ceiling. He's 6'5". He can run probably better than any quarterback on the roster, minus Carson May. I think he has a big arm. He has a lot of talent. As for yesterday, he threw 2 interceptions, but he was, other than those 2 interceptions, he was pretty accurate. And I thought that we saw what he's capable of doing with the weak side or over the shoulder going to his weak side. So the left side, because he's right-handed, rolling out that way and showing his athleticism with some of those plays. I think the one thing that you can see with each quarterback is the Iowa coaching staff definitely does have a little bit of minute differences when it comes to the play calls and what they have the quarterbacks doing when they are under center. Petras, you're going to see very little rollout to the weak side, but you'll see some rollout on his strong hand. But mostly he's going to stay in the pocket. Padilla, he'll be under center. I think the coaching staff basically does the same thing with him as Petras for the most part, with a little bit more movement because he is athletic, and Labus, the same thing. So there was some good with the quarterbacks, some positives. Was it an overwhelmingly good day? No, it was not. I think if you say it was, I think, you're sipping some crazy Kool-Aid. But there was some good things, and that is where we will leave it with the quarterbacks from yesterday. Okay, moving on to the running backs. The MVP of the day was Josiah Patterson, and I told you guys, a few times in a few different videos, especially in his commitment video that I did, that he was, you know, way undervalued. I thought that he should have continued to be a 4-star running back coming out of high school. I am not surprised in the least that he has been able to come to campus and display his vision. I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. He's a very smooth runner, and he's patient. He has, as I said, he has great vision. And the reason why I was so confident about him being able to come to Iowa and immediately show his skills, his capabilities, is Deerfield Beach in Florida is a huge school. It's a very competitive area. That's as high level of a high school that you will come across. So Josiah Patterson was definitely the MVP. Do I think he will see snaps this upcoming year? Well, I think the third running back is up for grabs right now. I think after yesterday, I think Josiah is probably in the lead. I thought that it was going to be Devin Hilson, but I would say now that Josiah is probably in the lead. I think Caleb Johnson is close behind. Caleb Johnson has all the physical tools. He's built like a brick shite house, okay? But he still has to work on some of the things that Josiah, I think, is a little bit further ahead on. LaShawn looked pretty good. I wish we could have seen Gavin, but that's all right. LaShawn looked pretty good. Guys, I'm very confident about the two running backs that the Hawkeyes have going into next year. I think that the two running backs that Iowa has are going to get it done. We will see who the third running back option is. When it comes to Josiah Patterson and Caleb Johnson, as I said, do I think they will see snaps next year? It's 50-50. Do I think they have a shot? Absolutely. They definitely have a chance. As I said, Josiah is probably in the lead right now for the third running back position. Okay, moving on to the receiving group. Addison Ostranga, again, a guy that I was trying to tell you guys about. Anytime you are good enough to be a Division I level athlete in two sports, you're legit. Addison was a Division I level athlete in both baseball and football. He's legit. Now that he can put all of his time into football, the sky is the limit for this guy. He looked great yesterday. He had the truck, hit stick yesterday. He looked great. Luke Lachey looked pretty good. Stylianos is not as far as I thought he would be. I thought that he was the unquestioned third tight end, but now I'm not so sure. I think that it's probably between him and Steven. Those are going to be the two guys battling for the third tight end position on this Iowa Hawkeye roster. Steven is, more seasoned. He's probably a little bit better blocker at this point when it comes to the college level. But Addison, I think, probably has some better physical tools, natural physical tools than Steven Stylianos. The wide receivers, I've said from the beginning, the guys that are going to see the snaps next year are going to be Nico Reganey, Arlan Bruce, obviously Keegan Johnson. I think Brody Brecht, due to his size, will see some snaps. Behind those guys, I think it's pretty much tied, if not Deontay Vines having a little bit of a lead. But I think Caden Wetchton, Deontay Vines, and Jacob Bostic are in that next group. I think Deontay Vines has been doing all the reports about him coming out of camp are great. He's been doing a phenomenal job. I definitely think he will get some snaps this upcoming season. If you look at the Iowa Hawkeye photos from practice, he's in every single one. He was making plays left and right. The wide receivers looked pretty good yesterday. The ball got spread around pretty well. So this is the group that I think is going to make or break the Iowa Hawkeye season. If they can play to the level or close to the level that they are capable of, the Iowa Hawkeyes are going to have a phenomenal season. If it's more of what we saw last year, then it's going to be tough sledding when it comes to moving the chains. Okay, guys, closing this out on the defense. The defensive line looked great. Linebackers look good. The defense is loaded, guys. It really is. That's why I'm so shocked that Iowa is not in the top 25. The defense is top 7, top 5 nationally going into the season. Xavier Wanpa played great. I would say he was probably the MVP of the defense. He's definitely not redshirting. Along that same line, I don't think Aaron Graves will be redshirting. He's just too physically gifted to keep off the field. He was lined up with the twos yesterday. Probably got a few snaps with the ones even. Those two guys will not be redshirting. They will be seeing time on the field. TJ Hall, I could see him playing, but we'll see. Again, the defense is so loaded. I think that TJ Hall's best chance to see the field is on special teams. He is very talented. I would not be shocked if he did see the field and forwent his red shirt this upcoming season. The guy that I am the highest on outside of Jack Campbell and Riley Moss is Lucas Van Ness. Guys, I don't know if you've seen the photos, but this dude is built like a brick shite house, like Caleb Johnson. He is shredded, just huge. He's 6'5". He's athletic. He's got a high motor. He kind of reminds me physically of Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if you guys read this, but his goal for himself is to have 14 sacks this upcoming season. I'm not saying that I predict he'll be there, but guys, he is going to be a breakout player this upcoming season. I think he's going to be the starting defensive end for the Iowa Hawkeyes. He's rarely going to come off the field. He is the star defensive lineman this year. The Hawkeyes always have one guy who is their top defensive lineman. This year, it's going to be Lucas Van Ness. My goal for him as a fan and what I would consider a productive season for him would be equaling, if not having a few more sacks and tackles for loss than he had last year. If he can get 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 sacks, that would be a phenomenal season, equaling, if not surpassing his tackles for loss as well. And I don't see why not. The guy's focused. He has high expectations for himself. He is the guy that I think is going to propel this defense even further than some preseason prognosticators would have them. All right, guys, that is going to do it. The other guys, before we totally wrap this up, I'd be remiss if I did not point this out. Drew Stevens and Aaron Blom were phenomenal. And way back when I said that this was something to keep an eye on, the Iowa Hawkeyes, in the end, the difference between Iowa and Nebraska, or a school like Nebraska, is special teams. Kick return, punt return, kickoff, punting, and, of course, field goal kicking. And we've seen probably the most underrated reason the Iowa Hawkeyes have had a phenomenal stretch of 5 years is because of consistency in the kicking game, from Marshall Kane to, our guy last year, to Drew Stevens and Aaron. Well, we'll see who it's going to be between Drew Stevens and Aaron Blom. Keith Duncan, obviously, Blanken, and, of course, Caleb Shudak. Iowa really has been blessed in the kicking game the last 5 years, and it's all due to LeVar Woods. LeVar Woods is getting it done as the special teams coach. So who is it going to be between Stevens and Blom? Guys, I'd be lying if I gave you guys a prediction. Drew Stevens is a freshman, so I think the Iowa coaching staff probably will err on the side of Aaron Blom. But right now, it's neck and neck. And it's good to know that both guys are making progress. So I'm feeling much better. I mean, this was a major question mark going into the season. I mean, kicking at Kids Day in practice is one thing. Kicking in a game is another. So I don't want to go too overboard here with them. But this was a major concern a couple months ago with what we saw in spring. But now we have seen some progress. They were nailing those kicks. There was only one that was somewhat close, but he still made it. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. Let me know what you guys thought of the Kids Day. Who impressed you? Who are you excited to see? Yada, yada, yada. We will be back next time with some position previews, and I will be dropping my prediction for how the West will finish. Unlike most people, the main thing that I base it off of is the talent on each roster. Because a lot of people base it off of the schedule. And yes, the schedule plays a part, but in the end, there's no way to know how hard a schedule some team is going to have before the season starts. The only time you know how good or not good the schedule is by the time you're like 5 games into the season. You look at last year, for example, Iowa State and Indiana were not nearly as good as some folks thought. And Iowa was better than some folks thought. Purdue was better than most folks thought. So again, I base it off of talent on the roster rather than the schedule. All right, guys, drop a like, drop a comment, give your boy a subscribe. You guys are totally killing it. Hitting the subscribe button. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let's keep this rolling. So I will put the PayPal link and all that in the description. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. And facts are feelings because your feelings don't matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.